Good evening, everybody, and welcome to The Better View, where we break down the best political and lifestyle stories of the week from the conservative women's point of view. I'm Tracy Belmonte, and I'm joined tonight by the best co-hosts in new media. First off, out of California, spelled with 3 Ks, Deanna Lorraine. How are you, Deanna?
Great. I'm just surviving liberal Looneyville over here, so I'm doing fantastic.
What happened?
Keeping my head up, keeping my red up.
Good girl, good girl. And I'll be seeing you soon at the Walkaway March in D.C., right?
Oh, we're going to be trouble together over there. It's going to be double trouble.
Oh, that is going to be trouble. So, D.C., you've been warned. We're going to be, and by the way, Ann Vandersteel from Florida, you're going to be joining us too.
Yeah,
that's right. That'd be Florida with 3 F's. FFF.
Oh my God, it's going to be triple trouble over there.
That's right.
I cannot wait.
I hope you ladies like tequila.
Oh my God. You know what? There's some things I have to say no to in tequila. Unless it's in a margarita, I have to say no.
Or wine.
Okay.
I have to say I'm a Tito's girl, made in Texas.
There you go.
Tito's girl.
There you go.
But I don't know if either one of you saw today that liberal rag Think Progress was trying to put down the Walkaway March and saying that the organizers of the Walkaway March were making money off of it. Did either one of you see this?
You know what's so disgusting about that is, if anything, they are making less, like they're under raising the funds that they need to put this Walkaway March on, and they still need more funds to put it on properly. So it's sick that they're saying that they're slandering them and saying that they're actually profiting on this, because the truth is the exact opposite of that.
And you know what's really frustrating is that the left does nothing but profit off the middle class constantly. They profit off the fears of the middle class. They profit off the fears of humanity, frankly, and they're just blood-sucking vipers. And the fact that they would actually, they're so concerned because they know people are walking away from them. I mean, Think Progress, really? Listen, how many organizations are funded by the Tom Steyers, the George Soroses out there that are doing nothing but trying to take down this country and put us last? And President Trump has put us first, and they're terrified of that because their little world of all their secret funding from these, billionaires that are trying to bust up America is going bye-bye because people are walking away. They're done with that kind of garbage. I mean, it's like America first. Hey, as somebody said in the Trump administration, we're America and we're back, bitch. So here we are.
I was just going to say, not only that, but we're not like the left where they profit off of every tragedy. They never waste a tragedy. They never waste a catastrophe. Anyone who's ever sick, or, the hurricane or a school shooting, GoFundMe is mysteriously up within 3 hours, right? Every single person in the administration that's been fired, rightfully so, somehow a GoFundMe is up there within 20 minutes, right? And even Stormy Daniels, but we'll talk about that later.
I mean, I can tell you, I spent a fortune just on hotel, airfare, car service for the Walkaway March because it's something I really believe in. I put a lot of my blood, sweat, and tears into this. I'm not seeing a dime. And they're still on the Russian bot thing, that we're all a bunch of Russian bots.
They're gonna see like 10,000 Russian bots in real life next week, and I would love to see them too. I'm going to take pictures of these Russian bots. I'm wondering what they look like. I mean, what do they sound like? It's going to be real interesting when we show up, or when they show up.
Clearly, the Russians are drinking Tito's, so maybe they're Texas Russian bots. I don't know.
I'm drinking good old Texas vodka. But I mean, I can tell you, I know this for a fact, that President Trump is well aware of this march going on, and he supports it wholeheartedly because finally, there's a place for scared, recovering liberals to go. If you're in the gay community, if you're in a community that's extraordinarily blue and all of your friends are liberals, you might be afraid to out and out walk away from that because you don't feel like you're going to be accepted. But like Brandon Strzok found out, everybody here on our side, we'll welcome anyone that wants to MAGA with us. We don't care if you're gay, straight, purple. We don't care about any of that. Like, we just want to MAGA and, kick butt, take advantage of all the opportunities that this great country affords us. So, you were talking about George Soros, and I know that you both know about this caravan of illegals coming up from Honduras just in time for the November elections. That's not suspicious. But, Caravan, there are videos and pictures now of people actually paying people to join the Caravan and make it even bigger. Interesting timing, huh? How it doubled in size. Now there's over 3,000 migrants making their way up through Mexico. So Deanna, what are your thoughts on this Caravan and its interesting timing?
Well, you might as well call this the George Soros van, because that's what it is. I mean, these things they're all powered and funded by these leftist groups, by the George Soroses, with the complete intention of creating chaos and to not give Trump a wink of sleep, to not allow him to have some peace and some focus on the real issues that affect America, and to just create all sorts of division in the United States right before midterms. They want to do this whole Trump is separating families, bit once again, and try to use that as a last-ditch effort to turn people against him right before the midterms. This is going to be a whole, Mexico at the border reunited 2.0 again. So my hope is that Democrats can see through this charade, and they can see that this is just another 11th hour ploy, and that it's not even genuine, it's not authentic. And it's scary to me that they're using these things as a way to just create such dissent in America and chaos in America. It's sad.
I have a different take on it, Tracy, if you don't mind.
I was going to ask you.
I want to thank George Soros. You know why? Because, he is sending relief. We have a record 7.14 million jobs open right now in this country. We need these people up here to do the work. Apparently, there's not enough Americans, so I'd like to thank George Soros and Tom Steyer and all the other left-wing nut billionaires that are funding these, Honduran caravans into our country illegally and bringing diseases, because I'm sure they're going to at least cover the Medicare and Medicaid expenses for these people, because, of course, they would never want to do any harm to our country. But anyway, in all seriousness, Deanna's 100% right. George Soros and that group of people, they're despicable. They are trying to do everything they can to take this country down. The globalist agenda has been exposed, and that's why they fear Donald Trump from day one, is if this ever got out. And, some of the stuff I worked on in Steel Truth, you ladies know, it's really coming to the surface now, and America is finding out just how diabolical this cabal of globalists have been for decades, and what they've done to slowly but surely destroy America, everything from the mortgage loan crisis on down. I mean, we just have so much destruction that's been around us. And frankly, this trail of tears that the Hondurans are going to try and, put on the headlines here is going to backfire yet again, because these are laws that the Obama administration had on the books and did nothing about. They did the same thing that the president's doing. They just didn't get the headlines for it. Now, the president is actually backing the laws, and he's saying, okay, Democrats and Republicans in Congress, figure it out, change the laws on the books, because DACA was in the legal executive order. It's not going to be, we're not going to support that. We've got to assimilate on a meritocracy, not just on somebody claiming they need asylum when they're passing how many consulates on their way up to the border here. It's total ridiculousness. And they're not even going through ports of entry. They're trying to literally sashay over the border and claim that they have some sort of need. It's not going to work. You can't get asylum that way, and we see through it. The DOJ stepped up. They've got a bunch of judges. So, it's business as usual. It's just, guess who's funding all this? The American taxpayer. We're the ones taking it again.
People are talking about, is this going to impact the election? I think you're right, Ann. It's going to springboard back on the Democrats. This might have been their plot and their plan with globalist George Soros to try to make Trump look like an ogre. But if anything, it emboldened me and lit a fire under my behind. Of course, I'm going to go out there and vote, but just to make me work even harder until the midterm elections. Because how much more are we going to take? We're not going to take this anymore. We keep funding these countries like Honduras, like Guatemala, and the corrupt leaders of these countries just take that money, they pocket it, and they don't make life better for those people. So those people try to come up here and try to find a better life, because even a poverty-stricken existence in America beats what they're coming from. So yes, we're going to cut off the piggy bank like Trump said. To me, that made me feel more powerful, and I think that it helps especially people in very, very contentious races like Ted Cruz and his little pal there, Roberto O'Rourke. Okay? Yeah. I mean, not for nothing, this helps Ted Cruz. Down in a state like Texas, where immigration is a big hot button issue, and you build the wall, you solve a lot of problems, right, Deanna?
Absolutely. I mean, this to me is just so cut and dry. And Trump is the first guy with the cojones the size of Texas to actually call things out as they are. Why are we supporting these countries? Why are we funding them when they're not respecting us? It's so simple. If they're going to come in, and this is not a refugee situation, this is an invasion. They're coming in unannounced by the thousands, invading our country. And why are we then supporting that? Why are we then continuing to give them funds? It's not working. This arrangement is not working. And thankfully, we have someone like a strong dad protecting us and protecting American citizens first, and say, we're not going to take it.
Yeah, and you hit the nail right on the head. If the Democrats were smart, there are 7.1 million job openings that we can't fill. We do need immigrants to come here and fill these jobs. They could strike a deal, but they don't want to strike a deal. They want to run on immigration with every election. Right, Ann?
That's right. They want to run on immigration because they don't have anything left in the cannon to fire. They have no agenda. They have no fiscal responsibility. They have no plan to turn the economy around. They basically let the president just steer this ship, and look where we are today. It is absolutely night and day from when he took office. It's incredible. Just the exuberance and the enthusiasm, the consumer confidence, it's palpable. I mean, Twitter to me, when I'm on social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it is electric. I mean, you can actually feel the energy in the air from how excited people are. And you know what's going to be as sad is it's an extinction level event for the Democrats on November 6th. They basically are going to be wiped off the planet here. There's not going to be much left of them except these extreme ideologues that, literally are going to riot and try and set the world on fire because they're just crazy. If you have any common sense whatsoever, you embrace what you've seen the president do, because the results he's delivered are putting more money in your back pocket, whether it's tax reform or job opportunities, and you're now able to leave the current job to go get a more high-paying job because there's more jobs available than there are bodies to fill. So people are paying more to get better talent, and that's what we need to bring in this country, is immigration reform that allows for the best talent to come here and support our country so that we have higher-paying jobs, which means higher revenues into the treasury, which means social services can be funded, like welfare, like Social Security, like Medicare. All those things that we depend on for our elderly population and others can continue to be funded properly. And it's just a matter of creating more jobs, and that's what the president's doing.
Yeah, it looks like the left-wing plot right now is to run as a moderate. And then when you get in, you're going to legislate like a progressive.
Right.
So James O'Keefe caught Missouri Democrat Senator Claire McCaskill admitting to being deceptive about her stance on firearms, immigration, abortion. Now, she is a red state Democrat, so she has to appear that she's pro-Second Amendment because her constituents love guns. So she really has to appear as if she also loves guns. Now, she's running against Josh Hawley in that state. So, Deanna, what do you think is going to happen in the midterms, maybe in this race or other races? What are you hearing on your end?
Well, thank God for James O'Keefe, first of all. He's a truth warrior, and he is exposing the grit and the disgustingness on the left and right. No pun intended. But, I mean, what happened with McCaskill is glorious. We need to all see the truth, and we know that she's a con. We know that she's a liar and people like her are liars, but the left needs to know. They need to have it right in front of their faces. So I'm seeing that they're going to see that, and I don't know if she'll get reelected because of it. And I think a lot of people are finally seeing the, especially with what happened with Kavanaugh and those hearings, the lies, the double-sidedness, the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. People are lying to their constituents and saying that that they stand for certain things, and as soon as they get in office, they vote just like a typical liberal, and just like Jeff Flake, right? We see this over and over again, and I feel that the veil has finally been lifted, and this is the first time I've seen in 2 years or 3 years that people are this plugged in to the truth. And this aware of what really is going on behind the veil, truly. And I think that the red wave is going to be actually way more powerful than people are even thinking. I think that it's going to be a landslide, just like the unexpected results of what happened in the 2016 election, because of all the polls that were wrong and all the numbers were wrong. All the news pundits were saying that Hillary was going to win by a landslide, and everyone was shocked. I really feel that with all the buzz going around on Twitter and everything, and people saying they're walking away and seeing the light, seeing the lies, that this is going to be an unprecedented landslide in the favor of the red again.
Yeah, in 2010, we had that Tea Party wave, and I remember being so enthusiastic during that midterm to go out and vote because I detested Obama's agenda, and I saw how he wanted to fundamentally transform my beautiful country, my beautiful Constitution. Mm-hmm. And this election has more buzz and more energy surrounding it. And that's my opinion, but I think you two probably would share that opinion. Now, Anne, I know that you do a lot of work with your Voice America's Campaign Corner, which is, to me, the most vital piece, besides your show, Steel Truth, which I can't believe you make better and better each week. I don't know how you're going to top yourself next week.
I'm going to light myself on fire.
Everyone tune in Monday night, 8 p.m. So honestly, I mean, your show is unbelievable. The whistleblowers that you get, unreal. But I know Campaign Corner is the most valuable part of that website, and you have just an army of people that work tirelessly on that. What are you hearing on your end? Midterm elections, talk to us.
Well, first of all, hat tip to the Campaign Corner crew, these women and Scott. We have one man, and it's a group of women, Karen, Meg, Scott, and Janet, Mary Grace. Gosh, I'm going to forget a few names here, but hat tip to these groups. Gary, of course. I'm not going to Sherry Wassell. They work tirelessly. Carrie Lockhart. They all work so tirelessly. And I have to say, their head and their gut when it comes to looking and evaluating at candidates. Now, mind you, we have 435 House rep seats up. We have 35 gubernatorial and 35 Senate and 36 gubernatorial races. Okay, that's a lot of seats to fill. And then you consider during the primaries, there was multiple people running for each one of those seats. They vetted everybody running in these races on the Republican side, on the Republican ticket. So you can imagine that was well over 1,000 people they had to look at. And when I say wasn't just look at, it was interview, it was go through all their social media, all their websites, old archives of news, how they voted, their voting records, if they were currently incumbents, whatever it was, if they were moving from a local state position to a U.S. House or a Senate type thing. They looked at all this stuff. It was an exhaustive interview process for every single one of these candidates before they said, okay, we stamp you as MAGA approved, we stamp you as YVA choice, or if the president, which we started to see, he would come around behind us and start endorsing our candidate picks. Incredible work. Now, I'm going to tell you, I probably weighed in on maybe a dozen or maybe 24 candidates. They did all that work. That was this group. I did handpick this crew, though, so I take credit for picking an amazing crew. And I watched them literally work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to come up with these lists. I highly encourage everybody to go to Your Voice America's Campaign Corner and check it out, because in every state you can find a candidate for you. But I'll give you kind of the rundown. I spoke to Karen Magipento earlier today, and I wanted to make sure that her voice was heard. But here's what she says we need to really highlight. California, Florida, and Georgia governor races must be red. Now, we know in California, Cox right now is within 2 points of Gavin Newsom in the polling.
Wow.
So we really, for the first time in a long time, we're going to see California potentially go back red. There's some congressional races out there, of course, that are clearly leaning in the red direction. Mad Maxine is now looking crazier than ever. Omar Navarro really has a shot there. And Dianne Feinstein, is now really complicit, of course, in everything that went down with Kavanaugh, the Chinese spying, and so much more. So one of the strategies Karen threw out, which I thought was really interesting, is let's let Dianne Feinstein win. Because guess what? She's going to get probably arrested here fairly shortly, and she'll be removed, and that seat will come up, and the governor can appoint. And if you get Cox in as governor, he can appoint a senator. Of course, he's going to pick a Republican. So that's kind of an interesting way to think about it. Not that you want to encourage Dianne Feinstein to winning it, but we know she's going into Club Fed sooner than later. 3 hots and a cot is in her future.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's certain.
Yeah, the information is out there. It's a lot of it I'm getting from the intelligence community, but it's pretty pervasive what she's done. I mean, if you just look at the Kavanaugh thing alone, that's problematic. The Chinese spy story, that's problematic. And there's all this other stuff that's bubbling up. So that's definitely one to watch. Now, if you move into Texas, of course, the race between Beto O'Rourke and Ted Cruz.
Cruz has that, though. Tell me he doesn't have it.
Cruz has it, but I got to tell you, my husband was in Houston for 6 weeks getting some medical stuff done, and everywhere was Beto O'Rourke signs. I spoke to Bianca Garcia, who is boots on the ground. She's former RNC in Texas. She's boots on the ground in what she does, and she's got groups that, support the GOP and the RNC big time in Texas. And of course, Cruz, she knows his dad, but she has people infiltrating in the O'Rourke campaign. And she said it was really disparate if you compared the two campaign offices. Ted Cruz's office was kind of like quiet, and O'Rourke's was buzzing with people like West Wing, just craziness. So she was concerned, but, I think it's kind of a late bloom sort of thing. And the president's, of course, going out this week on the 19th to do a rally. So it's going to turn around. We'll end up with Texas. But there are some races. John Culberson, he's vulnerable in the 7th district in Texas because there's only about 3,000 more Republicans than Democrats in that race. So it's kind of close. So we really need voter turnout. I think we need to show voter turnout, even if we know the district is really strong and red. We want to slam dunk this, and you know why? Because people like to be with winners. And so the more people show up, the more likely you are to pull people from the other side to go, wait a minute, maybe we're on the wrong team here. There's a lot more of them than us. Maybe I should jump and come over here. So we got to do that. Ohio, Jim Renace's got a tough race against Sherrod Brown. But again, Ohio has seen such incredible job numbers that, Renace's looking really strong in the polls. So we got to just keep the gas on him. He's the congressman now. He was going to run for governor. And then he called me one day, goes, you know what? The president called me and asked me to run for Senate. So I'm getting back into legislating and out of governing, looking forward to not legislating, but he's taken one for the team. So overall, this will be encouraging. And I agree with Karen. 11 Senate seats we think will get picked up by the GOP. And she's going real deep. She's saying 25 House seats. I'm a little more conservative. I say somewhere between 5 to 8 House seats. I hope she's more accurate than me. But I think we have a shot at 11 Senate seats here, folks. So
wow,
that's amazing. We are looking.
I think we'll keep the House and Senate then.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. I felt like we would keep the House and Senate since day one when Trump wanted to go, oh, you watch, 2018 is going to be a blowout. And it's looking more and more like an extinction level event for the Democrats.
What about Nevada and Arizona? And the Arizona race I'm referring to is Psycho Cinema and McSally.
I think McSally is going to win that. Arizona predominantly is Republican, and they have a very large independent constituency in Arizona as well. And if you look at the lunacy of the left right now, just their behavior in general, what happened with Kavanaugh, that turned so many people off, so many women off, that you're going to see the independent swing to the right for that. I don't think Sinema has a prayer's chance in heck. And the Air Force candidate right now, I can't think of her name. She's running. She's got a real good shot. Oh God, terrible of me. I can't think of her name right now. Wendy Rogers. She's great. I interviewed her. She's fantastic. She's got a real good shot of winning too. I think she's down in CD1. So yeah, Arizona looks good. And Nevada looks really good too. Heller will pull it out. Danny Tarkanian should pull it out. I think we're going to see a real red wave sweep in California. I think it's going to lose some blue congressional seats. We'll see what happens with the governor race.
Look at Menendez. I know that Hillary ended up crashing her van.
Isn't that like that's kind of like that's symbolism of that whole campaign, isn't it?
Now let me tell you, Jersey is bright blue. So for Menendez to be in danger of losing his seat and for Hillary to have to go campaign for him, that's something. So that's a indicator of how the United States is going to be in less than 3 weeks. Oh man, it's going to be like a red tsunami. It really is. Now, Deanna, you're on the ground there in California. What are you hearing?
Well, that's the problem is California, because it's so insulated. You don't hear a lot other than just the typical liberal talking points. It's going to be a blue wave. It's going to be a blue wave. And, we're going to wipe the conservatives out of the water. But in smaller conservative circles, I am hearing a lot more steam build up with Omar Navarro. And I think he is running a strong campaign. And I think that are a lot of people, I've seen some independent voters say, I'm never going to vote blue again after Kavanaugh and that whole thing. So I do feel like if there's been any chance that we can turn California red, or at least some of the seats, I think it's this year in 2018. I think there's a possibility.
Yeah, a lot of the Democrats are suffering from self-inflicted wounds. What they did with the Kavanaugh, from start to finish, it wasn't even just taking away his right to due process. It was even before that, the way they behaved in that whole hearing when they were vetting him and interviewing him. But, look at what Elizabeth Warren just did. I mean, with less than 3 weeks to go to the midterm, she does this thing where she reveals she's not Cherokee. She's not even Sherakinda. She's a fraud, right?
What? Saying this is so. I mean, this is so. I saw such a good meme. Joey Manarino put a meme up today because Elizabeth Warren, of course, supports pro-choice. She's a pro-choice person. She's not a right-to-lifer. Joey put a meme out today. If I can prove I'm 1,024th human, can I live?
That is amazing. And the fact that the Cherokee Nation was so angry at her. And here's the thing. If I was Elizabeth Warren, first of all, whoever told her to do this, I'm sure he's fired or she's fired or it's fired, however they identify themselves. Yeah. But, I mean, she could have come out and she could have said, you know, I was told these family stories that I was Cherokee and I did my ancestry and I may have a teeny fraction of some sort of Indian that's South American, but I guess I was mistaken. Then it would have went away. Now she's never getting away from this because she profited off of it all these years. But if she would have had a mea culpa moment, you know, she would have been behind her. No one would have talked about it. Don't you think so, Deanna?
Yeah, I definitely think that would have been a better way to handle it if she was just honest and pointed it out and said, you know, whoops, I did make a bit of a mistake. We all sometimes make mistakes in our family tree. Some people think they're Italian and they're not, and things like that. But the way that she handled this was the worst possible way for her. From the very corny video ad, you know, with the guy picking up the phone and saying, like, just to let you know, yes, you are. You know, there's strong evidence that you're part Native American. And the whole very cheesy, you know, ad trying to sell us this. And then the fact that the multiple corrections in the articles, you know, there were several different corrections saying it's actually this, and now it's actually 1,024th part Native American. It was embarrassing and cringy on every single level. You know, embarrassing and cringy for the media outlets that published this. Embarrassing and cringy for the man who conducted this investigation for her. You know, the genealogy test, and very cringy for her. So I don't know. I don't know if it was this like a self-flagellation kind of thing. She
really pooped the bed on this one. That was
is she a masochist? I mean, this was like a reality show moment gone really, really wrong. And the thing is, I don't even think I think that she thought somehow this was a good idea. That's how delusional and how out of touch these people are. It's like they're getting exposed every day for the mindless robots that they are. And that they're so out of touch with the American people, thinking that we would actually be stupid enough to buy this and think this was credible and think this was going to sway our vote. It's sad, but it's also frightening how they think.
Yeah, and she's got that whole thing where there's video of her saying that her parents had to elope because her father's parents were a bunch of racists and approve of their son marrying a Native American woman. I mean, this is the stuff that's out there, and it just made people look into her background and figure out things like her great-great-grandfather was bringing Indians to the Trail of Tears. So, I mean, you can't even write this. Talk about a self-inflicted wound. Go ahead, Anne.
No, I felt that she's basically blurred the lines, and she's showing that if she thinks that showing that she has some kind of Native American ancestry would neutralize a Republican line of attack, apparently she was really, really wrong. I mean, the Cherokees were so angry with her, they actually put a statement out, and it said the tribes set their own citizenship requirements, not to mention that DNA tests don't distinguish among the numerous indigenous groups of North and South America. The test Ms. Warren took did not identify Cherokee ancestry specifically. It found that she most likely had at least one Native American ancestor 6 to 10 generations ago. So, you know, her defending herself saying, well, I didn't claim to be part of the Cherokees, blah, 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 is just a bunch of malarkey, because that's in fact what she was doing the whole freaking time. And it just shows how disingenuous they are. She made a mockery of an indigenous population that, you know, has been through enough. I mean, let's face it, when the Europeans came to this country, the Indians were flagellated. They were destroyed, and they were pushed back into these tribes that they are today. And if anybody has a right to be super angry, it's them. And then you use somebody like, why is it the Democrats are always the ones that are taking supposedly behind all the, the little people, and they're abusing and using and abusing the little people for their own self-personal gain, to which, Harvard and jobs and everything else. It's just disgusting how she's done this. I mean, Tracy and Deanna, I don't know about you, but I'm probably 1/124th. I don't know what, space alien. I'm sure I'm something, but am I using that to get further my career? Do I really care? Or am I just Ann Vandersteel and, take me for what you see right here? Hello?
Honestly, I did my 23andMe. I got it for a birthday gift last year, and it was shocking, the results, because I always had heard, in addition to being Italian, I heard that there was French in my family too. There's no French. Surprise. So that does happen. You hear these, maybe somebody passed through France. I did find out I'm like, I think 7 or 8% Iranian. That was a shock to me. So, somebody passing through Iran, I guess it's close, enough to Italy, the trade route. Yeah, they had a little Iranian fling, Yeah, so. But I mean, I found out I was Croatian and all this stuff, and it was really cool, but I wasn't French. I didn't profit off of, going to the French society and billing myself as this French person. Basically, Elizabeth Warren is whiter than I am. So
right.
And what's this that they promoted her as the first woman of color in the university too?
What is that about?
Hashtag Elizabeth Warren so white. I was saying, you really can't.
AF.
Here we are, and we have the world's most competitive economy in over a decade, and we have all these accomplishments, and it is the economy, stupid. That's what people are going to be voting with their pockets. And then you have this one over here that's pretending to be Latin, Beto O'Rourke, and they have Rachel Dolezal pretending to be black, Sean King pretending to be black, Elizabeth Warren pretending to be a Native American. Speaking of just the left going crazy, how about that horsey face, Stormy Daniels? Now, I know that everybody, that was like the tweet heard around the world because a federal judge dismissed Stormy Daniels' defamation suit against President Trump on Monday. And not only that, but the judge ordered Stormy Daniels to pay President Trump's legal fees, which means every liberal that donated to her GoFundMe, that money went to Donald Trump. So thank you for that very much.
It's so good. It's so good.
So Trump tweets that she's a horse face. And, if the horseshoe fits, wear it. So a lot of people on the left were up in arms. His tweet wasn't presidential, but not for nothing. If Trump doesn't defend himself, Stormy Daniels talked about his penis, okay? She wrote a book about it. She profited off of referring to it and looking like a certain vegetable. So, I mean, if Trump doesn't defend himself, who's going to defend him? So I give him credit for that. I don't care if people think it's presidential or not. Deanna, what did you think of that tweet?
I'll be honest, I thought there was such a huge win when I woke up in the news, woke up in the morning and I see it come through my phone that's saying Avenatti and Stormy Daniels have lost this lawsuit and they have to pay for Trump's legal fees. I was like, woo, throw a party. It made my day. And I just thought that was the biggest win, the biggest vindication for Trump ever. It was so great. Sweet justice. I would have preferred if he just laid low that day because it was already such a win. Sometimes I think a little bit of humility goes a long way. As much as I love Trump, I love him. But if he had just kind of laid low and let that sweet victory kind of marinate in, I think he would have came out on top more and people would realize that they're the losers, he's the winner. But unfortunately, Trump being Trump, he kind of had to go in there and twist the knife in there a little bit with kind of a low blow name call. And it's funny. I mean, hashtag horseface, it's definitely funny. It made me laugh. It's hilarious. I wish that he would have just let that marinate a little bit more. But then again, after thinking about it, I realized, she compares his penis to Toad from Super Mario Kart. He compares her face to a horse. Right? All right. Yeah. So it's when someone punches
it's him, a wash.
Right? And we know Trump is just being Trump. That's what he does. And in a way, some of those kind of young grade school name calling, it does have a way when someone calls me a horse face. I mean, I don't know when the last time someone did, but as people called me ugly back in like 6th grade or something, I kind of like I kind of just wanted to vaporize, and I didn't really want to keep taunting that person or engaging in that person. It does have a way to have people just kind of back off. So,
you know,
I wish he didn't say it. He did already say it, but then again, she's called him way worse. She has dragged his name in the mud and his penis through the mud in the last year. So maybe if anyone deserves it, it is her. And by the way, I always thought from the beginning that she did kind of have a horse face. I actually thought that maybe she was a man or transgender for the longest time.
I still don't think he was with her. I really don't. Yeah. But when I see Trump do a tweet like that, I almost feel like he's doing it on purpose, that it's a purposeful tweet to throw people off of a story. And I think it was to throw people off of the Kashoggi story.
Yes.
Because the media was hammering that. I don't know if you agree with that, Anne. Do you think that he might have been, first of all, what was your reaction to the tweet? And secondly, do you think that he might have been throwing press like a shiny object to chase?
Absolutely. He's been doing that since he got into the campaign race. He's been doing stuff like this. It's just so inflammatory, and it drives people crazy. I understand where Deanna's coming from, but I know what he's doing, and I think it's truly a jingling of the keys over here because he's taking care of something over there. And, you know, he does not, I don't think he believes the Saudis are responsible for that. I think that there's something else more sinister going on. And, you know, it just so happens a Washington Post reporter is now dismembered, and there's video and audio and all this stuff, yet we haven't seen anything. So we're demanding, you know, we're now demanding from Turkey, the consulate, to get that stuff. Show me the evidence that showed this guy was murdered, and you have it on video and audio. But going back to Stormy Daniels, yeah, she does have a horse face. And let's be clear. She wrote a disgusting book. She's made some really gross claims. The president denies them. And then when you see a tweet like this where she puts out, I'd rather 10 million people look at my butthole than anyone see my Google search history or what's in my secret iPod playlist. I mean, seriously, you can't, you know, she can't play the little flower anymore and be offended that he called her a horse face. And then, you know, she gets what she gets. I'm sorry. Yeah. She's been there in the mud. She's a pole dancer and a stripper and a porn star. I mean, honestly, does she expect to command any sort of respect?
Literally. Horse is probably the nicest thing that she's.
That's probably the nicest thing. Exactly. She should get a little horse pin and wear it proudly, and maybe put some red, white, and blue. I just don't have any sympathy for the woman, and frankly, she's you know, they still have a case going. They still have the case about the payoff, $130,000. That's still ongoing, and Michael Avenatti, whatever his name is, says he's going to appeal this ruling. But you know, whose money is he spending? He's spending the people's GoFundMe money. So if you're a liberal and you're contributing to Stormy Daniels, just know you're paying for Trump's attorneys. How does that make you feel? Maybe you should just walk away.
Basta.
And I actually feel bad for horses, because let's be honest. I mean, justice for horses, because horses, I mean, how did they get mixed up in it? Just like poor Toad from Super Mario Kart. You know, I think that horses actually are very beautiful, and I don't think that Stormy Daniels is. So unfortunately, horses get a bad rep because of this.
And I love horses too.
Yeah,
I do. I think it's just it's all hysterical. This whole Kashoggi thing, though, to me, I get so confused by it, because now I'm hearing that Kashoggi may have been a spy. So this whole thing is unbelievable, and I think Trump is right to try to slow play it, because obviously the timing of this is no accident. Right. You know, it's happened right before the midterm. So when the liberal media is rushing to judgment and trying to get President Trump to be very reactive without the evidence, because let's be honest, I know that we do get along with the Saudis very well. We get along with this Mohammed bin Salman. He's good friends with Jared Kushner. They've developed that friendship. But yeah, I don't trust Saudi Arabia, and I certainly don't trust Turkey, even though they're an ally. I don't know. Deanna, do you have any thoughts on that whole issue? Because I don't know. I'm waiting.
You know, I would love to be more well-informed on this. What I do know are that ever since the new crown prince, bin Salman, that's what it is, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he is actually one of the good guys, I believe. The evidence has said that since he took office, because there was a massive purge and arrest last year, I think it was around December or November, in Saudi Arabia, that just arrested a lot of the corrupt actors over there in Saudi Arabia, right? And so, and they installed a new crown prince, which is, you know, someone who is wanting to make Saudi Arabia great again, basically someone who understands Trump's policies. And him and Trump are kind of working to dismantle the deep state and dismantle the bad actors in the world so that, basically good can conquer over evil in the world. And so I believe that he is one of the good guys. And I think that he's trying to work hand in hand with Trump to defeat the bad actors. That's all I know. So whatever's going on here with Trump saying that we shouldn't just immediately jump to this conclusion of guilty until proven innocent, I think that goes right along with this, this new relationship that they have with Saudi Arabia, which I think is a better thing, not the kind of Saudi Arabia that we've seen in the past with George W. Bush and Obama and whatnot that were actually corrupt actors. What do you think, Ann, though? I think Ann probably is more...
Ann is probably going to have MBS on Steel Truth. I went and done it because, this is an issue that I as well, struggle with. And I do, from my knowledge of the Middle East, I think if we do turn our back on Saudi Arabia, it allows Iran to get more powerful, which means Russia and China get more powerful. It's a very delicate situation with this Kashoggi fellow. So, Ann, what are your thoughts on it?
So to Deanna's point, the changing of the guard in Saudi Arabia really was very, very significant. And it's interesting, the timing of it, of course, right after the Trump election, because, what you saw is the first trip overseas, the first foreign country President Trump went to was to meet with the royal family in Saudi Arabia. They did this big arms deal, and the Saudi Arabians are arming themselves, and they're working together with the Israelis to fight the Iranians and to fight Hezbollah, and to fight these bad actors coming out of Iran. And of course, we know that the uranium one went to nuclear reactors in Iran, went to North Korea. So there's that whole cabal they're fighting, but like we talked about on Steel Truth on Monday, with this news coming out now that the United States, John Brennan, the Bush family, the Clintons, and the Obamas were all complicit and were all aware that Osama bin Laden was moved from Afghanistan and hidden in Iran after 9/11. Think about that. That is so significant. We sent military in there. We were chasing a ghost since 2001. Of 9/11, chasing a ghost in Afghanistan, looking for Osama bin Laden. How many men, women were killed by IEDs, were dismembered? How many PTSD, how many traumatic brain injuries, not only from our military and Western coalition forces by the thousands, but by the hundreds of thousands when you look at the Afghanis who've been maimed and killed by these same devices. So war is it's a big economy. It's a lot of money. Those people, the Bushes, tried to buy our silence by hiding Osama bin Laden in Iran, knowing about it. And the whole reason we had this Iran deal was to buy the silence of Iran, to say, please don't tell anybody we hit Osama bin Laden there, because he was there getting his kidney dialysis and whatever else for him. And of course, 75 of his family members we're now learning were also hiding with him in Iran. So Khashoggi, being a Saudi himself, getting murdered in a Saudi consulate in Turkey at the time when this news is coming out now, and it's becoming into the public sphere that the deep state was hiding Osama bin Laden, who was arch enemy of America, number one. How many of us gave up our freedom of privacy, our Fourth Amendment? We're like, sure, spy on me, Patriot Act, great, I have nothing to hide.
I have to show my license to buy cold medicine still because of that. So that make sure I'm not making meth.
Right, but we gave up our civil liberties at that point in time at 9/11. We're like, we've got nothing to hide. Please listen to my phone calls, but catch the bad guys. And what did they do? They spied on us, and the President Trump, the Russian collusion, all this stuff is all related. And now that this information is getting out, isn't it weird that you would have this disappearance and they're trying to make the Saudi Arabians the new good guys that are now helping President Trump, saying, look, we know that it was the bad family that was complicit in helping hide Osama bin Laden in Iran. We're going to help you clean this up. Isn't it interesting now that they're trying to make the Saudi Arabia new family look bad, and they're trying to make President Trump look bad for doing an arms deal with him like he's a warmonger? There's no coincidences here. It's totally by design. And this information that Mike Moore, Thomas Paine broke on my show, and I'm actually recording with him tonight again. We're going to continue this discussion. It's all related, ladies. So, buckle up. That the world is going to be shocked when this information gets out everywhere. It's going to really we're going to have to be ready. Get your gun, your ammo, and stand by your door.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating, and I know that it's maddening too. It makes you really angry. But we want to leave the show on a high note. So as we do every week, we pick a thumbs up and a thumbs down. It could be political, it could be non-political. You never know what's going on, especially with Deanna. So Deanna, you scare me a little bit.
I'll refrain from penis stories this week. Although next week I'll be in Washington again, so I don't know. Things could change next week. and crazy dating stories. Seems to be an interesting place over there for dating, and LA.
Thumbs up to that.
Okay, so my thumbs down this week, I'm just going to start with, was the Connors premiere last night. And it was so dark and disturbing to me. I don't know what was more disturbing, the fact that they killed off her character, or the fact that they gleefully, in the news and in all these different articles, paraded the fact that they killed her off. You know, and with article titles saying how the Connors killed off Roseanne's character and why she won't be missed. And just these very dark and disturbing headlines, and way that they went about it was very, I can't even explain what described the word. It was almost satanic and evil. And I felt like it was a physical death, obviously, with Roseanne being, you know, the beloved Roseanne is gone from her own show that she built up, and she made these people stars.
That's right.
Right? How
That's right. It is sickening.
And the fact that they're just joking about it and mocking it. But it's also, I saw it as a symbolic death. It was a symbolic death. Don't get me wrong. It was a symbolic death of America that we once knew, that we were allowed to be fun. We were allowed to make jokes and be humorous. We were allowed to have free speech in our personal lives and in our lives in general, without having our lives and our careers destroyed over it, without being killed over it, even if it was metaphorically killed or killed off in a show because of a single tweet or something that we said. It feels to me like this symbolic death of the America that we used to have is gone. And,
wow, that was. Oh, I'm sorry, Dan. I'm actually blown away by your
analogy.
It just it's a beautiful analogy. Continue, please.
Well, I think that's why a lot of us were so disturbed by this whole thing. It wasn't just the fact that Roseanne was gone from the show, but it just felt like this symbolic death where we are no longer able to be ourselves. It was a strong message. If we step out of line, this is going to happen to us. We can be removed from the internet, removed from our jobs, symbolically killed off. So to me, that was a low point. I really hope their ratings tank and they can't even continue the show anymore, because absolutely Roseanne is missed. And I didn't even watch the show because I refused to give them a view.
Right.
But I watched the 1-minute trailer and it was terrible. I mean, it was missing the comedic the comedic sense from her. It was missing everything. It was missing her spirit. So long-winded answer, but that was
wonderful answer. Bravo. If I could stand up, I would stand up, but then you'd realize I'm wearing pajama pants and I'm not going to, break the fourth wall.
Let this happen. And the thumbs up was Avenatti and Stormy Daniels having to pay Trump's legal fees. Judge, thankfully, we got a great judge finally who threw out the case. That was my thumbs up.
Excellent. How about you, Anne? Your thumbs up, thumbs down?
Well, thumbs down. I agree with Deanna, but thumbs down for me is Senator Menendez being caught, and it's coming out in the news that he sees nothing wrong with flying down to the Dominican Republic and having sex with underage girls. I mean, I don't even need to expand on that. We'll just leave that right there. And thumbs up. Yeah, and thumbs up really is to Roseanne Barr on the counter side of that. She tweeted out, and rightfully so, I'm alive, bitches, and let me tell you, ABC is going to pay dearly for that, and they already are in the ad revenue, their viewership, and of course, just goodwill in America. People are wise to it. I mean, you look at Brian Ross, who was suspended for a month for, misreporting on the Russian collusion story. There's several of those folks over at ABC that are walking a very thin tightrope right now, and as the media complicitness comes out with this whole Russian collusion story, thumbs down to them also. They're going down with it. So you go, girl, Roseanne. We love you.
Yes, we do. We love you, Roseanne, and you're welcome on The Better View anytime. And yeah, that show's going to tank without her, and that's going to be gleeful. And it's a shame because Laurie Metcalf is a very talented actress, and John Goodman is a very talented actor. It's a shame, but you're right. They rode her coattails to this fame and fortune, and they basically they metaphorically killed her too. So my thumbs down also goes to an actress, Keira Knightley. She banned Cinderella from her home because she believes it sends a bad message to her daughter of a poor girl waiting for a rich man to save her. But I see it as an overworked woman who's in a communist household. She works her butt off, and she keeps believing, she has faith that God is going to provide, things are going to get better. She helps herself by making a dress for the ball and the like, and her faith created miracles. So I think that stupid. I love Cinderella. And my thumbs up goes to a little 6-year-old boy named Kevin Beckman had his 100-pound pumpkin stolen from his doorstep last Friday. Now, it was a sentimental pumpkin because his grandfather passed away and planted it for him. So it was like his last gift from Grandpa as it grew. And it was very sentimental, and these thieves stole it. It went on the local news here in New York, and guess what? The thieves had a heart, and they returned it. So I'm actually giving a thumbs up to you thieves who didn't realize how special this pumpkin was to this little boy. So yay, very, very happy Kevin got his pumpkin back. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I love that story. I love a happy ending, and I love that these thieves had a heart. So, we're gonna wrap it up here. Deanna, where can people find you on social media?
Join me on Twitter and on YouTube at the Deanna Lorraine 7. Deanna Lorraine 7. I take out the G. That was my previous Twitter name. So just Deanna Lorraine 7.
Deanna Lorraine 7. And what about you, Ann? Where can people find you?
At Ann Vandersteel on Twitter. And of course, you can find me also on yourvoiceamerica.tv.
And I'm Tracy Belmonte. Of course, you can find me at Real Politidiva. And I have a new website, politidiva.com, where I'm putting all the shows. I have a Better View page. I have a Patriots Nation page, which is a new show I'm doing with Mike Closer. Please check it out. I even have T-shirts for sale, and they don't say Politidiva. They're things you're going to want to wear. So if you want to peruse my little store, it's got 4 items in it so far. So yes. So next week, which will be really cool, we'll all be at the Walkaway March, and I'm sure we're going to do a lot of Periscope. So maybe we could do a pajama party episode.
Yeah.
Face masks, the whole 9 yards.
God, let's do it.
I'm totally down. Deanna will be like knee deep in tequila, so it'll be a really rip-roaring show. My Tito's. But anyway, we'll see you next week from the Walkaway March. We'll check it out. Or you'll check us out then, and we'll see you next week. Good night, everybody.